is going on the Jubilee channel? This channel used to be about debating, about exploring the nature of what it is to be human and how to navigate our disagreements and find common ground despite the varying differences amongst the human race. Now it's just like brown guy versus 20 dudes that want to kill him. I am, of course, talking about the latest Jubilee video, one progressive versus 20 far-right conservatives. The progressive was Mehdi Hasan, who appears to have been lied to about what he was going to walk into, which seems to be a bit of a common theme with these Jubilee videos. The more recent example of this is Jordan Peterson's really weird episode on Jubilee, where it seems like he wasn't told what the debate topic was, but all of the atheists were. The video was pitched to all of the atheists as one Christian versus 20 atheists, but it seems like the video was pitched to Jordan Peterson as something else because for the entire video, he refused to confirm or deny whether or not he was a Christian, which led to really confusing moments like this.
You're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
Don't be a smartass.
Either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing.
That 20 seconds completely just shows how confusing the booking process for this show must be. Jordan, I almost feel sympathy for. He obviously has not shown up to debate Christianity. But I also feel even more sorry for the atheists who have prepared to debate like a really learned Christian believer and have been confronted with Jordan Peterson going, well, what do you mean by believing in God? I don't know, bro. Isn't that the whole reason why we're here? What do you mean by here? And then he starts crying, you know? Here's an opinion that we can all agree on. You got to come see me live in 2025. Loosebeers.com, get your tickets. Frankston, Canberra. Then my Australian shows are done. Then I'm going to England, Scotland, Ireland. These tickets are going quick. Get them now. I'll see you there. I meet everybody after the show. And the show is brilliant. As confusing as that weird Jordan Peterson video was, which actually had the title of it changed from Christian versus Atheist to Jordan Peterson versus Atheist, which is, I don't know, that doesn't really make sense. That's like Lewis Spears versus Buddhists, you know? I don't know enough about Buddhism to refute their belief system, so if a bunch of Buddhists showed up to kind of debate me on it, I would just look weird and then start crying. Also, the last time I fought against 20 Buddhists, it was actually 100 of them and they were protesting my show, and it was very scary, so I would have flashbacks and it wouldn't be a good time. But I digress. Let's get into today's video, which is Jubilee's latest video called One Progressive versus 20 Far-Right Conservatives. Now, I don't think that many like left-wing progressive voices would show up to something that was pitched to them as like, yeah, 20 people who hate the fact that you're brown and in their country are gonna talk about why you should be removed. Do you want to debate them? I think a lot of brown people would be like, that sounds very unsafe for me, no thank you. But this guy, Mehdi Hasan, agreed to debate seemingly normal right-wing people about economics and how much or how little immigration should be allowed into the country, but instead was greeted with this.
Family lineage of settlers from the 1500s.
Colonialists.
Yeah, colonials.
You don't look very Native American to me.
I am Native American. Whites are Native Americans. What are you talking about?
You're not.
What are you talking about?
You're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you could say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Listen to me. I am an immigrant. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Get the hell out.
I don't even like... I should get the hell out.
Yes.
Why?
I don't want you here.
I hate these debate videos because no one wins, no one learns anything. The format is just to clip farm so that people go and watch the long version so that some faceless corporate entity who makes millions of dollars by creating content that makes us hate each other can print money with YouTube ad rates. Jubilee is a company that behind the scenes has changed rapidly. They've had a massive staff turnover, and it's due to the fact that the videos they're making are more and more divisive and are featuring more and more insane guests with dangerous rhetoric. This goes for left and right wing of the spectrum. They're just getting whoever has the most violent views without getting them actually banned. Let's be real, if Jubilee didn't get banned for it, they would have the leader of Hamas on. Personally, I would not be against that. I mean, the Nelk Boys recently had Bibi Netanyahu on their podcast, so why can't we have the leader of Hamas on Jubilee? I would watch.
My first claim is Donald Trump is pro-crime and pro-criminal.
These videos are so fucking dumb, dude. Whoever gets to the chair first gets to debate for 20 minutes on a timer, and the debate is just the guy and whoever's in the chair talking over the top of each other, screaming sentences that they thought of in the shower the morning of. No one's learning anything from this. It's just getting clip farmed and cut out of context and posted by people who agree with whoever is speaking. This stuff makes people angry. It's literally just rage bait video. And this, I think, is why so many staff members behind the scenes at Jubilee have quit the show, because they can't, in good conscience, create content like this that just sows division and hate. And if you have a look at the Jubilee channel from like just a year ago, you start to have a lot of sympathy for the people who have recently left the company, because they're making wholesome stuff like moms versus daughters. Who is not Asian? I don't know, whoever's worse at calculus. Disabled people's deepest secrets. This is all like stuff that enables us to learn more about each other and welcomes us into other people's lives and brings us together. Now they're just doing the intellectual equivalent of a gangbang, where there is one star in the middle surrounded by 20 men that hate them, that are all jostling to get into the prime position so they can spend a couple of minutes there before they get evicted. The video goes for 30 minutes, but you skip the intro, go through the highlights, you end up watching it for about 2 minutes and then feel incredibly ashamed of yourself afterwards. It's exactly the same thing. I'm not going to go through the entire Jubilee video, and not every single person on the far right panel was a complete nutter. Some of them seemed fairly reasonable, but it was this guy that really stood out to me.
I'm more than willing to amend it and include
Whenever
the
it's in
Second
your
Amendment.
favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can Democrats do the same when they're in office?
No, absolutely not. Because
you don't
it's the
believe in
friend enemy.
democracy?
No, I don't. Absolutely not.
What do you believe in?
Autocracy.
By who?
Honestly, quite frankly, anyone who is in line with Catholic teaching.
Jeez, it's always the pudgy, sneering, clammy loser wearing an ill-fitting button-up from Target that could have been purchased by his mother, that knows how society should be run at the expense of everyone that isn't him. Guys like this think that a nation can be run like how they run their Discord servers, just pure anonymous autocracy, punishments handed out without reason, on a whim, and they truly believe that they wouldn't be the first people thrown into the mincer if an autocracy actually came about. I like religion, I like God, Jesus is my friend and he's yours too, but what the fuck is this guy yapping about? I don't understand what autocracy and, overthrowing a government with violence to take choice and democracy away from citizens has to do with God's love and grace. That confuses me.
How do we get to an autocracy?
I think, quite frankly, that if we are able to enact local leaders...
Who is the we, by the way?
I think, quite frankly, these far-right conservatives sitting right around
White
me.
people?
Yeah,
No brown
absolutely.
people. So,
Well,
some of
actually,
you guys...
I have...
I love the dude when he goes, who would do this? We would. All these 20 people. White people? Absolutely. And then one guy is like, yeah. Oh, no one else is clapping? Okay. Okay, we're not all that far right.
How would Connor's America look? What would it look like?
Well, quite frankly, I think we would deport people who shouldn't be here.
No, I didn't ask about
whether-
deporting. What does the government look like?
Quite frankly, this guy is like an autistic, autocratic Discord moderator with a fucking catchphrase, dude. I can smell this man through the screen. This dude needs to expand his vocabulary. He needs to read more books. I suspect he's only been reading one book. I think he could do with a couple more.
I would say, quite frankly, it's under a sort of benevolent leader, such as
Where does he
Franco.
come from?
It could be a kind of aristocratic class. Could be someone
No, but
who
who picks the autocrat?
frankly, the people.
Democracy sucks. I'm not going to sit here and say and it's awesome. It's a fucking terrible, awful, horrible system. And it's the best one that we've come up with so far, right? It's completely fucked. It pisses me off that dumb people get to vote just like I do, but that's beautiful and it's frustrating and it sucks, but it's the best one we've got. Because if you go into autocracy, that's how you get one guy who gets assassinated by another guy, who gets assassinated by another guy, and then you got an insane person who's in charge. You might have a couple years of things look like they're turning around, but then it just devolves into, oh, I think that no one should have pussy except for me. And you've got some dude who just has a harem around him and he has like 30 serfs that have to eat his food before he does because he's worried about getting poisoned because that's how he got the job and so did his predecessor. Autocracy is not a good idea. We've tried it many times before. Lots of people die and then we start over again. Let's not try again.
So isn't that democracy?
Well, sure. You can have a vote to get to that stage.
And then no more votes afterwards?
Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Wow. And if that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills because that's
No, well, no, look, in my world, the autocracy is good for me and bad for anyone who isn't exactly like me. In the unlikely event where that doesn't transpire, I, of course, will have absolutely zero recourse other than another violent revolution. And I don't really have the balls for that. As you can see, I'm barely even fitting into this $7 button-up. But, you know, I'll cross my fingers and pray to God that the autocrat that gets elected doesn't change his mind about me and my friends. Like, this is so fucking short-sighted and doesn't work in practice.
Because that's the whole thing.
How do you know? Autocrats tend to kill everyone, even their own supporters.
Makes this point very well in his work. It's the friend-enemy distinction, right? You
Carl
liberals,
Schmitt, the Nazi theoretician.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care.
Are you a fan of the Nazis?
I frankly don't care being called a Nazi at all.
I didn't say that. I didn't actually say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
Well, they persecuted the church a little bit. I'm not a fan of that. But
what about the persecution of the Jews?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't support anyone's human dignity being assaulted. I'm a Catholic.
But you don't condemn Nazi persecution of the Jews?
I think that there was a little bit of persecution and stuff like that, which is bad.
We may have to rename the show because you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you could say, I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Pretty insane to see like 20 people in a room watch a dude really, really struggle to not say killing lots of Jews is bad and then call himself a fascist and laugh like he just got possessed by a demon. That's tough to watch. You know what that this does? This makes me agree with him. I go, fuck, all of these people vote. Maybe we do need an autocracy, but not his one, my one, where the autocrat is like my friend and everyone like me benefits and everyone like him suffers until the autocrat changes his mind about me and then I suffer and then like it's just such a fucking stupid idea to be advocating for fascism and trying to tell people that what we should do is throw away democracy and the Constitution and instate a hypothetical perfect autocrat that doesn't exist yet and never will because this guy hyperfixated on Catholicism during lockdown because he watched a few cool TikToks where Jesus was edited into montages with crusaders, and he was like, "That's cool. I want to be cool. Everyone who is brown should leave."
During the pre-war period, prior to World War II, it was only those parties that properly enacted the people's will.
Now, our good friend Connor did think twice about revealing his actual name, but then did loudly and proudly say that he was a fascist after really thinking hard about whether or not the Holocaust was bad. And of course, you know, because he revealed his full name, people have doxed him. And well, it's not really doxing if you're going on Jubilee, saying your name, calling yourself a fascist, and you have a fucking LinkedIn profile. What are you, dumb, bro? This is why people like this should not be in charge of any sort of political organization, because if you are really trying to overthrow the government, you probably wouldn't be saying it on social media. You'd be in the basement making bombs. But instead of doing that, Connor E, as we can see here, is a cloud engineer, brother. You can't be talking shit about immigrants when you work in cloud engineering. You got to be one of the only white guys there. Maybe that's why he's so upset. Everyone else is eating biryani and all he has is like, cheese sandwiches with butter. That's going to make a man feel sad. It would be pretty frustrating getting outperformed by a man who just arrived in the country. Oh, but this guy can't even speak English. Yeah, but he speaks C++ better than you fat fuck, doesn't he? This guy Connor, or Pine Sap as he goes by on Twitter, obviously was fired from his job and was doing grifting interviews with right-wing media networks immediately and is now crowdfunding because he experienced the consequences of voicing his opinion that no immigrants should be allowed into the country, and if you're brown, you should leave in an industry that is almost entirely sustained by immigration. Not the wisest career move, brother. What did you think was going to happen? For example, I'm a stand-up comedian. I wouldn't come out here and say that drug-addled autistic people with childhood trauma who just want to be liked shouldn't be working in my industry, because that's everybody. So that would be silly. Here's Connor going on some sort of right-wing television program called Rift TV. Their logo looks like the Team Rocket logo. I'm sure that says something subconsciously. Who knows what? But here's what he had to say after getting fired.
When I saw that, man, I was confused. I was like, I think that is he trying to get fired? Because I know today that almost every job, every sector has been inundated with this DEI bullshit. And
yeah, dude, it's DEI to not want a fascist to throw in violent revolution for people that look like him and no one else. That's DEI, bro. That's fucking gay. Oh, yeah, we have some problems. I'm really struggling to pay my bills. Immigration is a bit of an issue for me. I don't know if we should be letting everybody in, and we certainly should be vetting people who come in, and I don't want criminals living in my country. But I also don't want to be killed by, some Discord Catholic autocrat who calls himself a fascist and, doesn't say the Holocaust was bad. I would just like eggs to be cheaper.
And you are in some serious trouble in your personal life over this, am I right?
That is correct.
What happened?
Well, unfortunately, I lost my job as a result, and no one really is to blame for that. It's just the culture that kind of exists.
Nobody is really to blame for that. Jarvis, who said on the biggest YouTube channel in the world that the Holocaust wasn't that bad and that they are a fascist?
It's the dork who won't get off Discord till his mum pulls the Ethernet out.
Was the guy in the shirt that doesn't fit?
Yes, that's the one, every time. I don't know why he would buy so many.
I see.
He asked me, do you condemn the Holocaust? It's like, well, of course I condemn persecution of anyone, Jews included. I'm a Catholic. I don't believe in persecuting anyone. But I'm not going to play your game of let's reference the Holocaust, because that's a loaded question. What you're trying to do there is you're trying to insinuate that worldview is going to lead to genocide, chaos, and destruction.
I don't like the "you're a Nazi" argument either, because it's usually just kind of baseless and it's a bit of a buzzword. But if you go back and watch the clip, Connor is the one that brings up a Nazi specifically and says, this guy has some great ideas. This Schmidt fellow has some great ideas. So it's not that far of a stretch, if you're praising good things about Nazi ideology, for someone to be like, well, what about the bad things that happened because of Nazi ideology? That's entirely within the realm of conversation that you're having. It's not out of context at all. It's not a loaded question. You're the one that brought it up. If I was running an animal shelter, I sure as hell wouldn't be attending Nazi rallies because Hitler had really good ideas around animal rights, He had some great ideas about animal rights. He just didn't have the best ideas about human rights. You can take things without referencing Nazi thinkers and then be like, oh, well, he called me a Nazi. Brother, you're the one quoting them. That's you.
You got fired from a legitimate job that provided well because of your political views that are not illegal. How does that make you feel?
Frankly, kind of destroyed. I put a lot of pride in the work that I do. I try to treat everyone with a level of respect and love and decency. And, many might say, oh, you say that, but you're actually this evil guy behind closed doors. No, I'm a guy who is looking at our society being torn apart by just kind of the lack of rule of law, the lack of meaning in people's lives. Frankly, let's just get to the heart of it, the lack of God in people's lives. And I say enough.
Jesus came down from heaven and said, you know what we need? A fascist theocracy where people who aren't the color of the majority should be removed. And then he ascended up into heaven and he said, this fucking Discord Gooner is going to be my messenger. I think this guy just doesn't like working with brown people in tech. That's his real issue, is he just is really sick of the language barrier. So he's like, everyone must pay.
They are looking for all manner of filling the vacuum and the void that is going on in their lives. And I'm the evil one for calling that out.
No, you're the evil one for advocating a violent fascistic government. That's an evil ideology. We tried it a bunch. It doesn't work out. But I say please and thank you. Brother, you are calling yourself a fascist online. You can have good manners and still kill people. That's allowed. Doesn't mean I want to be your co-worker. I think what really happened was when remote work ended, this guy walked into an open plan office and he was like, absolutely not. He started taking up dividers and segregating the office by race and religion. And for a while, you know, that did work, but then one brown guy threw one paper ball from his side of the border, which was a lot smaller and seemingly getting smaller, over to Connor's side of the border, and then Connor responded with a nuclear missile strike, killing everyone on that side of the formerly open plan office. And then he said, give me back all of the pens that you stole from my desk. And then the one lone survivor who happened to be a child said, please don't strike me again. I'll give you back the pens. Please, can we stop fighting? And then Connor said, all right, let's organize the pens to be returned. And then right before they returned the pens, he hit him with another nuke. And he said, the guys on that side of the open plan office are terrorists. Their children must be annihilated. Anyway, where was I going with this? Ah, yes, the rift.
I find it to be so abhorrent that anyone who is willing to care enough about other people and willing to lay down their life so that other people may have a better life is canceled from that. And I don't even consider myself a part of that, but rather so many martyrs kind of in our whole movement and the conservative movement in Catholic Church for that matter.
This is the fucking problem with all of these like internet revolutionaries where they keep coming up with radical ways to overthrow the current system that we have using violence. And then in the same breath, they go, but I wouldn't, I'm not doing that. That would be someone else would violently overthrow the government and lay their life down on the line for my idea of a government that will be good to people like me, even though I'm too much of a coward to partake in my own revolution that I say that I want. If you really want a revolution, dude, go and do it yourself. You don't. You're scared. You're talking behind a webcam on a formerly anonymous Twitter page about this theoretical autocracy that you don't have the nuts to actually begin. You're just role-playing, bro. You are LARPing. You are just as bad as these radical socialist leftists that show up for a protest to yell at cops but won't blow up a building. Not that you should. I'm not advocating for that. I like the system that we have. I don't like it, but it's the best one that we have. It sucks, and there's a lot of frustrations with it, but I like it a lot better than watching people die of famine because someone blew up a train line to disrupt the government. Like that's how revolutions happen, brother. I don't want to see one in my time.
I know that we told you we wanted you to make a give, send, go, right? That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to create a fundraiser to try to raise some money because you got fired for your very legal political beliefs. And the fact is that they tried to ruin your life because you are right wing and they hate everything that's of order, of God, and of a sound mind. And so we have the link to the Give, Send, Go.
This is why the right wing are crushing it with the culture war, dude, because one guy can come out and be like, yeah, I'm a fascist. The Nazis weren't that bad. They had some pretty cool ideas. I actually think the people who aren't my color should be pushed out. And then one guy who, doesn't like taxes is like, yeah, he's one of us. Not necessarily, I would say he's a lot further along down the right-wing pathway than people who think it's annoying that the government can give them speeding tickets. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the right wing are crushing it, because they see anyone who's, remotely right to anyone, and they go, yeah, you're in our group, brother. Even if that guy's bedroom walls are adorned with Nazi paraphernalia, they're like, yeah, dude, you're one of us. Meanwhile, people on the left will borderline lose an election on purpose because a political candidate will be like, well, maybe we should check who is coming in. Maybe we should see if they're nice people first. You know, maybe we could let everyone who's nice in, but maybe we shouldn't let people who are bad in. They'll be like, no, I'd rather lose an election. Fuck you. Left-wing people lost the culture war because they were arguing about how many genders are allowed and cancelling their most prominent influencers for saying retard in 2006, while the right wing were like, yeah, if you want to blow up people who are a different color, that's cool. You can hang out with us as long as you say you're right wing. I mean, I just think that freedom of speech is important and states' rights are important. I understand that you want to build a gas chamber and put your least favorite type of person into it, but as long as you don't have blue hair and you're not a feminazi, you can kick it with us. That's why Donald Trump is the president. Because the left-wing people were just fighting amongst each other, while right-wing people are like, yeah, I don't care if what your beliefs are, as long as they're to the right of center, you can be my friend. What do you mean you're killing me in the gulag because I'm left compared to you? I thought we were friends. That's how that ends, but, you know, for now, it's winning elections, so who cares? All right, so we have the Give, Send, Go up here. They asked for $15,000. They have raised $34,000 US. Which, yes, at first sounds like a lot of money, but gee, that's not very much money to be unemployable forever. You know what I mean? Like, even if this guy makes $100,000, that's a lot of money. That's heaps of money for like 4 years. Not even, really. That's heaps of money. That's a moderate amount of money for 2 years. You know, 50 grand a year, that's like a full-time wage for 2 years, and then this guy's a young guy. He better figure something else out quick, because it doesn't look like he's going to raise much more than... Even if this guy raises $50,000 US, he's fucked unless he can figure out some kind of right-wing grift like, I don't know, racist podcast, sexist podcast. Those are kind of the only two avenues, isn't there, for the right-wing manosphere, is racist podcast or sexist podcast, or both. If you watch Fresh and Fit, but I don't know. This man may regret his appearance on Jubilee. Unfortunately, voicing fully legal traditional right-wing political views results in real consequences. I don't know if it's traditionally right-wing to call yourself a fascist. I think that's kind of a new one for the conservative right in America. Typically, America has risen up and smashed fascism. We've had a few wars about that. In fact, the founding of America was breaking free from the chains of an unelected government. Well, not even a government, a royal kingdom. You know, they threw off the chains of that before and wanted to have their own rights and democracy. That's what America was founded on. So this is not traditional right-wing politics, at least not in America. This is just, I don't know, traditional right-wing politics when Mussolini was the leader of Italy. Is that what you're going for? I don't know. You got to be more specific. This is cancel culture and political discrimination on full display. No, dude, it's just people don't want to hang out with you. You know, you be difficult to work with. You're submitting code, and Sanjeet doesn't want to, you know, collaborate with a guy who would like him removed. You're just a difficult guy to work with. You don't foster collaboration, man. That's bad for business. It's very confusing to me why a platform like Jubilee would platform people like this. What's interesting is that Jubilee have kind of identified a loophole in the YouTube content guidelines. Like, this guy saying this stuff on his own YouTube channel would probably get him deleted. But because he's technically a guest on someone else's YouTube channel, you can have views like this said. Now, I don't like, you know, I don't agree with censorship and shit like that. I don't necessarily think that he should be disallowed to express these views online. Like, that's freedom of speech. I don't like censorship as much as the next person. But it is a really interesting moral question of, like, why is Jubilee allowing these types of people to come on and sprout their views? Because it really just kind of lionizes them. It makes them some sort of digital martyr that all of the other right-wing schizos band together around, and it allows them to recruit more autistic Discord Catholics to, you know, build their revolution that none of them are man enough to actually commit to enacting. Personally, I love these things because I get to watch people ruin their lives in real time and then be famous for like 7 days, make maybe 50 grand, and then their life is just fucking over. You know, it's not good. For example, after people doing some digging on this guy's account, they found all of these old tweets about him crying about being addicted to pornography. A couple months ago, he was talking about his porn addiction being so bad, he was thinking about taking his own life. Now, look, every life is precious, and if you're struggling, you should get help. But there is something very funny about being so unable to quit watching porn that you think about killing yourself. Like, oh no, I saw a pussy, I have to die. Like, and that's the type of person that intense shame creates, you know? Like, this guy has intense personal shame. He represses his desires, and he disgusts himself so much that he can't even control his own sexual urges, which disgust him so much to the point where all of that self-hatred and inner turmoil goes so deep within his soul that it turns around and collapses in on itself like a black hole, and then reverses and shoots out in the form of, I don't think Indian people should be allowed to code in my country. Dude, just stop jacking off. You'll feel a lot better. This is the guy's Twitter. As someone whose cross to carry has been sexual addiction, I can tell you that the culture of sex positivity and familiarity with women only nurtures and enables a cycle of self-destructive behavior. Yeah, dude, your cross to carry is you can't stop gooning. I'm sorry. I'm just imagining, you know, biblical times. Jesus is dragging his cross through the city. It's harrowing. It's horrific. There's a bunch of other people that are due to be crucified. They're dragging their crosses, and then this Connor guy is just dragging along, you know, a Twitter account that follows a bunch of Gooner accounts. And he's like, "Oh, I can't stop looking at tits. That's my cross to bear." I feel like every other person being crucified that day would be like, I don't think your struggle compares to mine. I'm about to get nailed to this thing. You just can't stop watching people get nailed, all right? Maybe avert your eyes for this one. You might get some ideas. I don't tell you guys to be pure as a bit or meme. I say this because I don't want you to experience the suicidal ideation and constant misery I have endured. The greatest gift you have been given is your purity. Don't ever let anyone encourage you to give that up or shame you for being focused on God. There is nothing in this world that matters more than loving Him who first loved us. Dude, that's crazy. If you look at porn and then you want to kill yourself, the pornography addiction is a symptom of the actual problem that's going on within your mind and your soul. I don't think that watching too many gangbangs can make you want to kill yourself. That's another issue that you need to work out in your own mind, because, geez, that's so funny. This guy looks at a noose and goes, whoa, should I kill myself or auto asphyxiate myself? This guy watched so many women get trains ran on them by his own volition that he now wants to jump in front of one. Look, no, everyone's life is precious, and I love you, and I think that you should be here until you die a natural death. But God, I just don't think that killing yourself because you watch too much pornography is something to be taken seriously, man. Like that's a different issue. Like, oh no, titties, I should die. This is just that Tyler, the Creator tweet. You know that one where he's like, cyberbullying, how the fuck is that real? Just close your eyes. Porn addiction, how the fuck is that real? Just close the tab. This guy doesn't even have the self-control or the willpower to not watch transgender porn, but he reckons he knows how the entire world should be run. Not to quote Jordan Peterson here, but clean the cum tissues out of your fucking room, and maybe we'll talk about how the government should run. 13-year-old me opened the iPod Touch for the first time. This is from this Connor guy's account.
Don't let me leave, Murph! No! 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 No!
That's so funny, man. I just cannot stop picturing this like fully grown adult male with a software job addicted to gooning on an iPod Touch so bad that he has to like jump off a building. Bro, have a conversation with a woman in real life and you'll feel a lot better. Unless that's a real struggle for you because of your thoughts and beliefs and viewpoints and your actions. So, hey, maybe upgrade to an iPad instead. Yeah, hi, can I get an iPad and a shotgun, please? Moving away from that nerd, we've got a lot of people that are very upset with Mehdi Hasan for doing this Jubilee show at all. Yet another reason why the left continues to take L after L in the culture and political landscape, because they just eat each other alive every single time. They could take a lot of inspiration from the right, where they're like, oh, a guy calling himself a fascist who can't stop jacking off to gangbangs? Welcome to the team, brother. Meanwhile, left-wing people are like, you had a conversation with someone who disagreed with you vehemently? Maybe you shouldn't be part of the left at all. Jubilee invited a bunch of Nazis and Mehdi Hasan went, yeah, sure, I'm gonna go debate them. As opposed to what? He should have showed up with a fucking suicide vest and blown up the building? Therefore, confirming negative racial stereotypes? Now who's really the bigot? Mehdi responded to this tweet and said, to be fair to me, that is not how the debate was sold to me. You can see my shock when they start expressing their views openly. Yeah, like, Jubilee is quite clearly lying to their guests, seemingly on both sides of the debate, just to get people to come on the show and have horrific arguments. It's a classic, like, reality TV producer trick. You tell one person one thing, you tell one person the other thing, and then you get to watch both of them like thinking on their feet and drowning a little bit and in shock, and therefore you get the most genuine reaction, which makes for the best viewing experience, because generally one or both of them will say something that they regret because they're so caught off guard by what's happening in front of them, because it is so completely different to what they were told was going to happen. Sometimes this works, like with this Jubilee episode. Sometimes it's fucking weird and lame, like the Jordan Peterson episode. But yes, it's quite clear that Jubilee is lying to its guests to create good YouTube content. Which again, goes back to my original point, which was these shows suck. They make everybody hate each other and nothing gets achieved by doing them. You just hate watch it and then say your team won, no matter how they performed. This is just political brain rot slop. Not like the Lewis Spears YouTube channel, you know, like this well thought out and well researched, nuanced show that really just speaks to the common man and has all the right ideas. Like, if you really want to know who should be running the world and what sort of government should exist and how that should be run and who the real enemies of the political state are, you got to come to the Lewis Spears YouTube channel, because everything I say is correct and anyone who disagrees with me is wrong. Now, this episode may have gotten a little bit too far right, even for Jubilee. Have a look at this clip of Mehdi after the debate, where one guy asks him about the single person who did not speak at all during the debate, or so it seemed. It appears he said something so fucked up or voiced such terrible opinions that he was removed from the episode entirely.
I've been watching some of their follow-ups, which I think is as alarming as the actual exchange. I'm sure you've seen some of the stuff online. You see this one, a guy who's at Chaotic Hermes, he posted a picture of himself, and he said, I didn't go up during Jubilee because Hassan smelled like shit. Did you see that one? Several other guys have.
I can't reveal what happened in terms of the taping and editing, but that's fundamentally untrue, what he just said there.
I love people like this that just go, did you see that one? This guy was talking shit. Did you see that? This guy said you smell like poo. Did you see that? This guy said that you have an ugly face. Did you see that? You know, guys just stirring shit up. Like, this guy said this about you. Did you see that? You know, thinking that they're helping out their friend, but they're just making their mate feel like shit. This guy said something very racist about you. Did you see that? No, I didn't, but now I have. Thank you very much.
Not just the insult, but what he said about what happened at the filming.
Got it.
He was a super racist dude.
So there was racist shit that didn't make the cut.
I can't comment on the.
Oh yeah, you can't.
You'd have to ask Jubilee.
I think what's going to happen is there will be some sort of nightmare situation for Jubilee where one guest is just going to say something so abhorrent and so unbelievably racist or sexist or whatever, and some editor is going to release it, or even worse, there will be violence on the set, or someone showing up that is so clearly so mentally unwell that they shouldn't be there. There's going to be some horrific unreleased video clip that comes out of the Jubilee. It might not be from this video. It might not be for a couple years, but at some point, one employee who has a USB that they should not have is going to be uploading that shit to a drive. And it's going to be the best day on the internet of the year. All right, that's the end of the video. Come and see me live in 2025, loosespears.com. I got Frankston, Canberra, then Australia is done. Then I'm off to England, Scotland, and Ireland, the birthplace of the religious autocracy that we all want to go back to. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.